My guest today is considered to be one of the greatest kickers in NFL history. He single-handedly completely destroyed my hopes and dreams. And I will now give him an opportunity to, for once and all, apologize to me for breaking every single record that I held for what I thought were going to be forever. And my legacy would be that I would be the leading scorer in the history of the game. Most points, most field goals, most whatever. So, Adam, the floor is yours. I'm crushed, as you can probably deduct from my intro here. And here's your opportunity to set things right.
Well, I apologize. But I remember the last time I played against you. I think you were in Atlanta at the time, and I was just in awe because of all the numbers that you had put together. And I remember looking at it thinking, me at 10 years in the league was like, man, his numbers are so far out there, nobody's ever going to catch him kind of thing. And you know what? A couple of years here, a couple of years there, and the next thing, I'm about 45 years away from the end of my career, and I'm sitting there going, I might be able to catch him, maybe, and I just remember just kind of putting a year closer and a year closer, and when I guess I was about 2 years out, I said, man, I need to stay healthy and I need to keep kicking well, and maybe, just maybe, but yeah, no, I always thought your numbers, you were my hero growing up as a kid, you were my hero when I played against you, and I just remember seeing those numbers of like, man, there's no way in heck anybody's ever going to catch him, and to be lucky enough to be even in the same sentence as you, my pal, is impressive because, like I said, you were the guy. I mean, you were a lefty, but everything other than that, I wanted to be just like you. And I remember watching your onside kicks and just not just the field goals and your kickoffs. I remember just this guy had this amazing, high hop bounce kick, thing, and I was sitting there going, this guy does everything awesome, right, everything. So you've always been my hero, and to be able to be in the same category or close to in the same sentence with you is a huge honor. And there was no bigger fan than me when you finally got inducted into the Hall of Fame, because I felt like you deserved to be there years before. You were one of those guys that changed football, changed kicking. Jan obviously is in the Hall, but when I thought about iconic, the best of all time kicker stuff, you were always the man. So for me to be able to even be in the same sentence with you is very, very humbling.
Adam, apology accepted.
Good. Perfect.
But more importantly, Adam, you've done it, and you there's a special category for you because of your big kicks. And who would have thunk? And let me just rattle off a few numbers here to our listeners. But who would have thunk that a boy from South Dakota State, by way of NFL Europe,
yeah.
I
wish they would have added those points in there too. Then I'd have really
right.
They've been a little bit more.
Exactly. But who would have thunk that we would be sitting here talking today. Here are some of the numbers, Adam, that you hold right now, and there's many more, but these are the big records. Most consecutive field goals made, 44. Most combined regular season and postseason games played, 397. I still hold on by the slimmest of margins to the regular season, 382. We haven't taken that yet. Most career field.
It's probably safe, just so you know. It's probably safe.
Well, we're going to get to that, Adam. We're going to get to that. Hopefully this is a platform where you can be completely transparent and let everybody out there who's curious about your future, let them know what's going on. All right, here's the next one. Most career field goals made, 599. Man, almost 600, bro. We got one more?
I know. I need to get back just for one more.
One more ceremonial.
That's right.
Most career field goals attempted, 715. And the one, of course, that I had for about 13, 14 years, most career points in the history of the game, 2,673. I know you're not a guy that necessarily thinks, hey, these records are motivators, but, in a way they are, because they're milestones. and they tell you where you kind of are. At least for me, when I was in my late 40s, the numbers were important to me because I was closer to the end. Now that you are in your late 40s, mid 40s, late 40s,
yeah.
and you've had a chance to kind of let everything soak in. Okay, the Colts have a new kicker. Where are we today, Adam, with your career? Are you going to give it one more shot? You haven't officially retired. And how important are these numbers to you?
Well, two questions, and I'll answer them both. As far as just over a year ago, I had, a season-ending knee surgery. It was just, when you get our age and we've kicked as many balls as we have, things start to wear out a little bit. And unfortunately, it was a little bit more than we were hoping. We knew we had, some stuff in there that needed to be fixed. But when our surgeon went in there, they said, well, I thought I was giving you the 40,000-mile overhaul, and it looked like we gave you the 80,000-mile overhaul. So in saying that, he said, it's going to take a little longer than we anticipated for you to get back. So I've spent the last year, almost year and a half, working with physical therapists and trainers and trying to get back to where I need to be. At our age, things don't heal as fast or as quickly or as well as we would like them to. So I still have a little bit of stuff that's hanging around, and every time I try to go out and push it, it pushes back a little bit, which in a weird way kind of puts the writing on the wall. I haven't officially given up by any means, but it's not coming back the way that I wanted it to or thought it would. So honestly, a year ago after the surgery, I had every intention on coming back and continuing. My final season with dealing with the knee stuff wasn't the kind of year that I wanted it to be, statistically or otherwise, but I didn't want that to be the last moment on the field or the defining moment. It's funny, we say 599, the last attempt, this what could have been the 600 field goal, got blocked for a touchdown in the end of the game against Tennessee, which that's not the last one that you really want to have,
No.
But that's where we're at. So, moving forward, the one good or positive thing over the last 16 months is when I was home trying to get healthy and doing all that, I spent a lot of time with my family and realized, as much as I absolutely love football, and it's been my life for 25 years, my entire life, I guess, but professionally for 24 and a half years, 25 years, I've come to find out that being around my family, watching my kids grow, helping my son at his high school, he's a punter and a kicker as well, and getting to do all of that made me realize as awesome as football is, there's more to life than just football. So if by me saying that, you can see writing on the wall, I don't know how much harder and how much more stuff I can push to see if my knee can come back. Like I said, I would love to, I'm sure you would love to play one more season too. It's just part of football's such a great sport. It's such a great team thing, the camaraderie, the locker room, everything about it makes you want to be there and be back in that and be part of it. But,
Adam, if you'll allow me to maybe offer some perspective from my point of view, based on my experience when it came to be the end, if you will. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't prepare. And to your point, I just couldn't prepare to be great anymore. In March, in April, in May, when I was doing the testing and I had my plant foot, my knee was, I had the same type of things. I didn't have a lot of cartilage left in my plant leg. And it's most of the time it's that plant leg because that takes the brunt of it.
Right.
And whether it's your ankle, your lower back, which I've been very lucky, for me, it was the knees. And so when I realized that I would be out there grinding and trying to figure out whether I could even go through a whole off season preparing to be great, and the pain was so great that I had to pop ibuprofen 800 left and right. That's when I knew, okay, you know what? I have exhausted every possibility. It takes two to tango anyway. And if I'm not going to be preparing to be great, I'm not preparing because I'm not going to go through a regular season where the team, number one, I can't live up to the standards that I've set for 25 years. Number two, the team really can't rely on me to be consistently, great.
Right.
There's a brand and a legacy to protect as well. So I'm not saying you're at that stage, but you're going to know. And from what I'm listening to you, it sounds like that's a gradual realization that you're coming to, that other priorities are taking place in the forefront of your mind, which is a beautiful thing, man. It's part of the natural evolution of becoming an ex-player, and you have so much, and from my perspective, you have nothing. Yeah, you could say, well, my last kick was this and that, and I wish I had another, Super Bowl experience, because I missed a kick that's the shortest in the history of the game in the Super Bowl. I missed a 26-yarder, and I'm talking to a guy that made the biggest kicks in the Super Bowl. So listen, there's always
we've all missed those ones that we just,
there's always an exit strategy, right? That can be written better. But the most important thing, I think, Adam, for us, and I don't want to speak for you, and you can speak to it when I'll be quiet in a second. The most important thing is to be authentically real with yourself, and know that I've exhausted every possibility here.
Yeah.
And then you put your head on the pillow and you say, listen, man, I did it at a really high level. And by the way, when 5 years from when you decide to officially retire, there's going to be a spot in Canton, Ohio for you, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. And coming from you, that means a lot. And you're right. I can look at myself in the mirror and know that I gave everything that I've had to this point. It's not like I don't have any regrets at all. I look back and I'm very proud of our team accomplishments. I'm very proud of individual accomplishments. Like you said, I mean, if you can play for 25 years or 24 years, you're doing something right to be consistent that long and to be reliable and have teams that want you to be on their team for that long. So I don't have any regrets or any feelings of, oh man, but like you said, you always, it's so much fun being out there, and you just want to put that last exclamation point on it. And then I watch guys like Tom Brady continuing to go out there and win Super Bowls over and over again, and you just remember what that feeling's like, and you go, man, it'd be great to be in there one more time. But, you're absolutely right. I think the longer I continue to be away from it, the more the realization is there that it's about time to figure out the next chapter of life.
And you will, and just do it. My advice would just be do it at your speed, and please let me be the first one to announce it officially. After you, of course, do it.
Well, right on.
No. Sure. Listen, you mentioned Brady. If you don't mind sharing just your relationship with Brady, you kicked game-winning field goals in each of Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls, 2001, 3, and 4. I mean, first of all, what was it like being around him? He's won 7 now.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And how motivating was it to see a guy like Brady, obviously, do it at a high level every year?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because you watch him come in as a 6th-round draft choice, and quite frankly, I didn't know much about him. Initially he's just a guy in the locker room, and then when Drew Bledsoe gets injured mid-season and he gets, I don't want to say fortunate for Tom or whatever, but I think that happened his 2nd or 3rd year. So he got to not have a ton of pressure on him as a rookie. He got to learn the schemes. And I think as time developed, we all started to see the specialness of Tom and his commitment and his drive. And so when he went in his first season that he got to play in 2001, the team was kind of like, okay, well, we've got a new young quarterback. We've got to do our job well. And I think Belichick did a very, very great job. I mean, I have the utmost respect for Coach, for Bill. I think he kind of said, all right, we're gonna help Tom. He can just do, you don't have to try to win the game. Just be prolific, just do a good job, and everybody around you will be a good supporting cast. And that's honestly why 2001 was such a great season. I mean, we were kind of the underdogs all year long, but guys did such a great job supporting each other. When you say team, that particular year just meant so much because of how Tom got in the middle of the season, how everybody picked up a little extra slack and made it more comfortable for Tom. And I tell you what, I never knew Tom was as gritty and tough and as talented as he was that first year. But all of us have been blessed to see it now for the last 2 decades. And I got to be part of it firsthand. Being his teammate was amazing. And continuing to watch him grow and being around him in the locker room, being around him in meetings, being around him on the field. He's a special guy. He's a guy that he'll work harder than anybody else around. He'll put that extra time and commitment in. And he's just got that Joe Montana, fun, loving, but intense all at the same time that doesn't make everybody nervous. It's just fun to be around. And watching him be part of that, there's nothing that surprises me anymore. If he has the ball at the end of the game and within the opportunity of scoring and winning, whoever's on the other sideline is in trouble. So it's fun to be a part of that. That's for sure.
Was there ever a time where you knew it was coming down to a game-winning kick? You're going on the field and you're going to put foot to ball and you're going to end it. Where Tom's coming off the field, you're coming on the field. Were there any words exchanged on any of these huge moments that you guys had together, whether it was in the snow game, whether it was in the Super Bowl, where he said something to you that was like poignant, or that's Tom Brady, or you know what I mean?
It's funny that you say that because probably better than anybody else on the planet.
Happened to me.
Right. When you step out on that field, I always say it's like I've got leprosy. Nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to say anything to you. There's 2 guys in the history of my 24 years. It was Willie McGinnis and Lawyer Malloy, both defensive guys that aren't on the field at the time when Tom's out there. I'm over in the kicking net, kind of focusing in and watching the game clock and the play clock and all that stuff, and watching us march down the field. But those 2 guys are the only guys that would come up to me, give you a swat on the ass or something like that. And I say, ass, I'm sorry if I can't. But they give you a big swat and say, come on, that kind of thing. So Tom wasn't really that guy because he was out on the field and, we were always just crisscrossing. But, he'd be like, let's go, man, make it. But those 2 guys in particular, Willie, who's on the NFL Network, and Lawyer, who he came into the league the same time I did, so we had a pretty good relationship. But those are the 2 guys that would be over in the net, talking or saying something, But for the most part, Tom was just really focused on his thing, and we all expected him to do well. He expected when I went on the field, it was 3 points, but ironically enough, the 2001 season, if you add the playoff games, the Super Bowl winner and the one in the snow against Oakland, I had 5 game winners that year. So I look at it like I had to do my share for our team to be successful along with everybody else. And, you do your job and you do it well and you win games. So it was awesome.
And I think that's exactly a Belichick-led team. His mandate basically is do your job. Don't kill us. Don't kill us. Just don't F it up.
Yep.
Take care of your specific task and don't kill us. And if we all do that, we're gonna hoist a lot of Lombardis.
100% agree with you. I think he got that from Bill Parcells, who my rookie year, he was the head coach, and they like to get players that they could trust, that they knew exactly, hey, if I expect you to do, we always say, don't check gangster and go do your own thing. That was the check call. Like, hey, I'm checking gangster and I'm blitzing or something on defense. He was always like, if everybody does their own job and you do your assignment and you do it well, collectively, we're going to be in every game. And I think that's what made the Patriot dynasty so great, and he continues to do that, is they always, very, very seldomly early on, did we ever blow teams out. We won by a point or 3 points, maybe 7 if we were lucky, but it was always a close game. And I think we got comfortable on being in those tight games, and we didn't screw things up. We didn't do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And other teams would be like, oh, here we go again, which the Patriots, and they would try to do something special or over the top, and that's when they would screw it up. They would interception or a turnover or whatever, and then the Patriots always seem to just play solid football and not make any mistakes and win the game at the end. So I think that was really the the Bill Belichick Patriot dynasty in a nutshell.
Yeah. I know we're not supposed to have, I agree with you. I know we're not supposed to have a favorite kick, like we're not supposed to have a favorite son or daughter or kid. But, I got to ask you, because I have my favorites. They all count for 3 points. They all have the same value. Not one, good or bad, defines our ability as a kicker. But
sure,
you've had some big ones, Adam. Is there one? And I have my favorite of yours, that I said that was amazing. Extraordinary pressure, extraordinary circumstance in the snow, 46-yarder, I think it was. And I just, because I know as a kicker, the most concerning thing is the footing.
Sure. No, that for sure is the one that I'm the most proud of. I mean, it just, you look at how everything's stacked. You're down by 3. It's in a blizzard of a snowstorm. It's the playoffs. You miss it. You're packing up your locker and going home. And honestly, still don't know how I made that kick.
Can you take me through it? Can you kind of go back to that time, to those wonderful, that 60 seconds of unbelievable,
Well, I'll even take you a hair earlier. At the beginning of the game, the snowflakes are coming down, and if you've ever seen it, and I know you've been in Indiana winters and stuff like that, so I know you've seen snow. Biggest snowflakes you've ever seen in your life. I mean, they were just gigantic, and as they're coming down in pregame, you're like, okay, we're going to get some snow. I didn't know by 2.5, 3 hours later we're going to have 6 inches of snow on the ground. But as the game went on, the weather just continued to get worse. And the irony of it is, before the greatest kick of my career was the whole tuck rule thing. Brady is trying to move down the field. They blitz a corner off the edge and swat his arm. And fortunately for us, the ruling was his arm was coming forward. I know they changed the rule. Probably should have been changed prior to that. But it was the right call at the right time, especially if you were up. And it was definitely the right call. But I was sitting there watching that, thinking, "Oh my gosh, the season's over, the game's over." I thought it was a fumble, and then all of a sudden, they're under the hood looking, and I'm like, "Oh, you better get your butt ready, because you're gonna have the biggest moment of your life coming up in 2 plays from now, if whatever." And so, the irony of it is the play, or the call got overturned. We've got the ball. About 2 plays later, I'm going out for the argumentatively the toughest kick of my career, maybe one of the most difficult kicks of NFL history, maybe. But I went out there, and I remember thinking, with this much snow, they can't get a good rush on me. So timing, don't the normal 1-3-0, 1-3-5 kickoff get off time is irrelevant. You can probably get the ball off in 2 seconds, because they're not going to be able to get much of a rush coming in. But I also thought, short little steps, almost like when you're running on ice. If you take too big, tiptoe. And I just thought, the thought for me was, get it above the line of scrimmage. It didn't have to be one of these beautiful high moving kicks. No. Get it above the line of scrimmage so they can't block it, and get it on line. So that ball looked like a 2-iron coming off my foot, and it was over the line by
a stinger, brother.
Yeah, and I don't know if it ever got 20 feet in the air, but it was just high enough, and it
cleared by a bunch. Cleared by it. Had
probably, yeah. So
probably had 50 on it. It had 50 on it.
Maybe, probably. So it was one of those. Once I tiptoed into the ball, made contact. I saw it going above the line, and it was pretty much on line. And at that point, with the blizzard, the snow, it was hard to see the uprights. And so I was holding my breath, and it seemed like it took forever. It seemed like
waiting for the crowd, maybe.
Exactly. The umpire, or the referees behind the uprights, stepped forward and raised their hands. The crowd went nuts, and I just was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just made that kick," Yeah. But the irony of, we still had to go to overtime. Both teams got the ball. Both teams punted. We marched down the field, got to a substantially a 20-something, 7-8, whatever the heck the game winner was. Yeah. Much less melodramatic. Called timeout. Guys are sweeping snow off the ground. Made it a heck of a lot easier kick for the game winner. But I would say that's the one that I'm the most proud of. Obviously, when you get a line up for a game winner in the Super Bowl, that's kind of the biggest dream that you've ever had as a kicker, and to have that opportunity not once but twice and be successful on both of them. those are pretty awesome moments in themselves.
Yeah.
But kick-wise, the best kick in my career is the one in the snow for sure.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with New England and snow and game winners. John Smith back in the 80s with the infamous snowplow and the guy that was on release from prison who came out and snowplowed his little spot, and he made a 35-yarder.
Yeah, oh yeah, and she was crazy, and then they changed the rule that no more mechanical things can come out there. So now you just hope your linemen have big size 16 feet that can sweep off some ground.
Let's go, boys. Let's go. Let's get this thing moved out and away. So fun to hear your perspective on that. And then, of course, your Super Bowl kicks. And I thought you hit a really pure ball in the Superdome, really well struck ball, and which leads me kind of into a little more nerdy question for you, because you and I are colleagues, and I've always wanted to know this, and now that I have you, I was a very mechanical guy, a very technical, mechanical guy, not a feel guy like Gary Andersen. Gary Andersen was a feel guy for sure. Right. He would eyeball it and kind of, I was always amazed at Gary Andersen because he was just so fluid and it looked so effortless. Sure. And to me, it was hard. It didn't come easy. I had to consciously think about, my steps, my pre-kick routine, my visual, the way I imaged it, the way I kind of looked at it, my plan. All of these things were rehearsed for me. I don't know about Gary. It looked like he just eyeballed it. And where are you on that spectrum?
Well, it's funny because I always felt like I was a feel guy, but the longer I was in it, like I never thought I met Matt Stover. We kicked together a little bit, and he is a very, very technical guy. He's so precise with all of his movements and stuff. And I always thought, I'm a guy that, like the guy from The Replacements, the British guy's like, just put the ball down, I'll kick the bloody piss out of it, and that's kind of what I always thought of myself. Yeah. But I'm not, because all of our trainers and the other kickers that I was around always said, you do everything exactly the same every time. So I know that along the way, I developed what worked for me, and I was very precise on that. Now, when I go out with my son and we go out and punt and kick, I make sure that he's very precise and there's less moving parts. If you do everything exactly the same every time, there's less things that I watch young kids and they're always swaying or they're moving their hands. I'm like, stop all the
Yes, thank you. I heard you in an interview, and I don't remember what exactly it was, but I don't know if it had to do with just going down the target line, or if can you share that? Like, in other words, the last, I had a finishing kind of verbal cue that helped me.
Sure.
I would say finish.
Yeah.
Meaning, let's stay firm on that plant side and let's finish. Let's not collapse and have everything fall off. What was it for you?
Well, you're exactly right. For me, keeping, and it would be the exact opposite for you. Your right side is my left side. I'd always make sure, that it stayed firm left side. So that way you could kick without falling off. I also always thought, and I would either maybe write it on my hand or on something, that I always say, attack the ball. Because more times than not, if we miss a kick, it's because we get lazy
and baby it and guide it. Yes.
Amen. And so the best struck balls are when, I'm not saying, hey, you're swinging, you're not gripping like a golf club, but attack the ball means get through the ball, hit the,
committed.
Commit. Yes, that's a great term. So I always put attack the ball because I want to be aggressive at the ball, because the times that I missed were when you're in your mind, you're not as comfortable, or you're thinking, whenever I attack the ball and, hey, man, smash this ball. And I think for me, I was better at long field goals, and I would miss a short one every once in a while because
me too.
When you're at 50 yards, you have to do it right. You have to attack the ball. You have to do everything right. So you're focused in on doing everything right. these little 26-yarders, 28-yarders are the ones you go, it's a chip shot to run out there, and then you get lazy and you fall off or you do something, you're like, how the hell did I miss that? I should make that 1,000 times in a row. And so I think for me, attacking the ball, commit, really get after it, it was always a good thought for me.
And there's this, missing these 20-some yarders, which I can so much relate to. It's this stunned belief that it didn't happen to me.
Right.
I'm Morten friggin' Andersen. That doesn't happen to me. No. And so I would blink and I would go, I'm living a nightmare right now.
I know all of us, and if you've played long enough, we've all done it. I remember watching, you mentioned Gary. I love Gary as well. The one in the playoffs that he missed. I think it was against Atlanta when he was in Minnesota.
It was when I was with Atlanta.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And then I remember Justin Tucker a couple of years ago, his look on his face of
his eyes,
bewilderment of like, how the heck could I have missed that? And that's just because we're all professionals. We all have worked our butt off to get really good at what we do. And then when we have a brain fart and it just goes the wrong way, you're like, it should have never happened. I should have never, you wish you get that second attempt. You wish like, hey,
yeah,
what do we do on this? Which
I know. Adam, after 10 years and 3 rings, you leave New England and you go to the Colts. And I know, again, I can relate. After the 13 years I left New Orleans, and it was mostly because they felt I was a declining player, and then I played another 12 years as a declining player, so whatever.
Right.
But the exit from New England to the Colts worked out beautifully for you, but how was departure for you? Was it a money thing? Was it more of a change of scenery like Brady? Was it a combination?
It was a combination of a lot of different things. New England kind of does the same thing in the sense of when players get a little bit older, sometimes they'll let them go with still some upside there. But, they think, well, maybe we're not gonna give him a big contract because we don't know if he's going to last a long time. For me, loved every minute in New England, appreciate the community, appreciate the Kraft family, appreciate all my teammates. It was unbelievable. And I'm not going to lie, there was tears in my family when it was time that we left. My wife cried and said, I can't believe we're leaving. And I said, well, I can't believe it either. But in saying that, I always thought that if I was going to leave an organization like New England, it was going to be 2 things. It was going to be another organization that had potential of winning Super Bowls and championships, a great organization. And playing 10 years in the snowy New England,
get a roof over your head, baby.
Yeah. It was either going to be somewhere south, nice and warm, or a dome. And fortunately, at that point, there was a few teams of both domes and south that were interested. And you know what? Bill Polian, who was the general manager for the Colts at the time, he made the call and he said, hey, listen, I don't want to be part of a money grab or trying to get more money out of New England. If you're honestly thinking that you would leave, we would love to have you here. And that was at the time when I was in New England. The Colts were the other team in the AFC. It was Peyton Manning and Reggie and Marvin and Robert Mathis and Freeney and all of Bob Sanders. I mean, they had a great team that could just never get over the hump against New England. And that was one team that I was like, if I'm going to leave, it's got to be a team like that. And honestly, they did everything right. I have 0 regrets. Indy's been unbelievable for me. The organization, Robert Irsay, the owner, is a great owner, great man, everything about it. So it was difficult leaving there at the time, but ironically enough, we played the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, beat them, and went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So timing's everything, baby. But
how satisfying was that to play that your old team the first year with a new team?
It was unbelievable. Everybody talks about what's the most fun game. That maybe was the most fun I've ever had in the NFL. And the reason why I said even above and beyond Super Bowls, because that game meant so much for me and in the organization. Colts couldn't get over that hump, and it was just once they won that game, it was like, oh my God, we beat the Eagle Empire, and then to win the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, it was incredible just to be around that whole situation. But even in that game, we were down. I think I kicked a field goal right before half, so we were down 21-6. I had 2 field goals in the first half, and I came into the locker room, quite frank, super pissed. I'm like, I do not want to lose to these guys. We have to win this game. And fortunately, we got the ball second half. We went down there and scored a touchdown. So now we're down, basically 1 score. And that was a fight back and forth and all the craziness that happened in that game. But that was, I look back now and I feel like I, as you, had 2 separate careers. I played 10 years, a whole career in New England. And then I come away and I go to Indy and 14 years there and being able to do a bunch of stuff. It was amazing. I mean, it was the best of both worlds.
Unbelievable. And you get to play with Tom Brady in New England and then with Peyton Manning, another Hall of Famer, right? That had to be special. And I'm sure they're similar in many ways, but different. What was your relationship like? And then let's look at the coaches too. You have Belichick and then you have Tony Dungy. Again, 2 iconic coaches. So let's face it doesn't get much better, Adam, for you. And now you have a roof over your head. And, I speak from experience. I had a roof over my head for 21 years, more, 22. So.
Life is good. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that. Like you mentioned quarterbacks and the coaches. There's no different coaching philosophy you couldn't have been polar opposites between Tony Dungy and Bill Belichick. I mean, the way they did things, the atmosphere. Tony is big brother that wants to be your friend, and you want to succeed for him because you don't want to let him down. Bill Belichick is more fearful, like you're walking on eggshells. I better do everything right because I might be gone tomorrow if not. Completely different philosophies, two different ways of winning. I didn't know any different from Bill Parcells to Bill Belichick. I mean, my first 10 years were very militant way of doing stuff, and then I get to the Colts and it's laid back and it's fun. I tell you, the one guy that was more like that is Peyton Manning. Was very strict on everybody. He took that role of, hey, listen, you're going to do everything right. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to quiz you to make sure you know what you're doing. And Tony didn't have to yell at you because Peyton's going to chew your ass if you didn't do it right. So, I mean, I watched Peyton take guys off the field, send them off the field, and say, no, you're not coming back into you're not coming back into the huddle because I don't trust you. You're off the field. You're benched the rest of the game. I've watched him do that. So that's kind of the difference between Tom and Peyton. Peyton was always that guy that was very, very intense.
Yeah.
In a good way. I mean, like there was nobody ever more prepared than Peyton Manning when it came to, and not just him. He knew what he was doing on the field. He knew what the other 10 guys on our team was doing on the field. And he probably knew what the other 11 guys on the other side, because he was changing plays and doing stuff and doing all this crazy stuff to get the defense to check into what he wanted. And he's like, all right, now I got you. Now, bang, down the field, So I always say, everybody's a million times people have asked me, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. And I said, shit, if you're lucky enough to have either of those 2 gentlemen as your quarterback, you're going to win a ton of games. You're going to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to have a ring or 2 or 5 or 7. So I honestly feel like, and no slant on any of the other guys, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and all these other guys, I was blessed with 2 of the best quarterbacks who ever played the game. And so oh, by the way, Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and then Andrew Luck, who is by no means any chopped liver either. I mean, if he would continue to have played, I think he would have put up the same type of numbers that those other guys did. So blessed. I think you have to have a high quality quarterback for your team to be successful. And I had it my entire career. So I'm super, super lucky when it comes to that.
I know you have other things to do, but let me get your opinion here at the tail end on both teams as they sit today. Carson Wentz with the Colts. Looks like Cam Newton, or if the Patriots decide to draft somebody, maybe somebody there. Where do you see these 2 franchises as they stand right now?
I really like the direction that the Colts are going. They've built with their GM and the head coach there. They've done a really, really nice job developing a young defense that's very athletic, very intense, hard hitting. It's fun to watch those guys. I think they always say, offenses win games, defenses win championships. I think they have a championship type defense there now. They've got enough talent on skill positions as well. I think their running backs. I think they've got a tandem or a 3 running back group that's as good as any running back group in the league. And I really like Carson. I've seen him. Him being a guy that played at North Dakota State, and me being a South Dakota State guy, watching a little bit of that and watching him come up winning all those national championships at North Dakota State and then coming in and playing well for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think last year was an anomaly. I think there was just some weird things that were going on. He had a lot of pressure on him early, and it just didn't work out the way that I know he's a damn good quarterback that I think will be very successful in this. The fact that he and coach had, experience together in Philadelphia, I think it's going to be a great relationship there. I think the Colts are going to be very good this year. For the Patriots, I think Cam is a really talented quarterback. I think he's got all the ability in the world. Last year for them, they had some financial problems. They couldn't add in a bunch of key players that they needed around him. And moving forward, I don't know what their salary cap issue is moving forward. I haven't paid enough attention to that, but when you have Bill Belichick as your head coach, you have a chance. You know what I mean? And I think I always look at them as a team. Now, Buffalo is really, really good. They're on the rise. I mean, they're impressive. They might be a team that continues to win that conference or that division and stuff. But you never take the Patriots out of it when Bill Belichick's there. I don't know how many years he's going to continue to coach or what's going on out there, but I do watch, even if I'm not playing for either of those two teams, I watch a little bit more intently with them, and just because of the history.
Yes. All right, crystal ball time, brother. Are we going to see Adam Vinatieri in 2021 kicking his 600th field goal?
If things don't change from my knee, I think I haven't officially retired, but I'm probably on that way. Like I said, I've continued to do stuff to try to get there. It's just not. There might be a time to officially do that here in the near future, and just. I have no regrets. We always wish we could have that 600th or this one more trip to the Super Bowl or whatever, but no regrets. I've had a great way.
Well, we put it all together, Adam, and look at your resume, and it's Hall of Fame worthy. And I know I'll see you there if indeed this is it 5 years from now as a first ballot.
You're buying the first rounds, buddy.
No, wait a minute. You're a rookie. You're a rookie.
So I'll buy the first round. No problem.
You will soon learn, my friend, that nothing changes. It stays the same, man.
As it should. Nothing should.
I'll get the second one. How about that?
There we go.